All right. Well, I am live somehow. I don't know. Right. Let's pull up all my streams. YouTube. AO96 Twitch. This is the one I need here. Rumble. What was that? AO96. All right. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Let's go to my. I don't know where that is. Content. So, conversations. I don't know where that talk is. Um, hmm. Content. Community. So where is this? Where is this? Yeah, I'm gonna. So this video, let's delete this. Let's delete this one. Okay, I know what it is. Know where it is. I'll just deal with it later. It's like a minute long. All right, there we go. Cool. Greetings, everybody. All right, let's go to X. Hopefully my stupid internet doesn't just keep cutting out. Yeah. I know. Bot-Rix. There we go. All right. Very good. Okay. All right. Hang on just a minute, chat. Right. Cool. Pull that up. There we go. Cool. All right. All right. So, that being said, I think everything is set up. Hopefully, it's everything. I hope. Phone's going crazy on me for some reason. And there we go again. Another stupid. It's dumb. Huh. Huh. Can't mark it. Odd. Okay. We're going to watch Benoit's stream today. And I'm going to make comments. Some people complain. All right, we are gonna start the Benoit party. Yay! Here we go. And I'm gonna do commentary. Yay! This is gonna be fun. What's with all this bot stuff? Jesus. Okay. Window capture. Cool. See if we get rolling.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Star Citizen Live Tech Talk with Benoit Beauséjour. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee, and if you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, lucky you. No, it's where we take usually about an hour out of our week and we chat with developers on these special shows that we do with our good friend, Chief Technology Officer and all-around swell guy, Benoit Beauséjour. We usually take a bit longer. Last time we took 3 hours. The time before that, it was close to 3 hours. It was maybe 2.5 hours. This time we're clocking in at about 2 hours because we have meetings that we have to go to at about 2 hours. So, yeah. I'm running out of gas. What else do I do in the intro? Oh, I got to introduce the person. So, I've mentioned this person in Benoit Beauséjour a few times. So let's go ahead and meet Benoit Beauséjour. Benoit?
Hi.
Hi.
I have to say, I'm impressed with your pronunciation.
It's been like 12 years now.
No, but it
11 years.
keeps getting better. Every time it's better.
Well, I practice privately.
There you go. I know. Thank you, everybody. Hi, everybody.
Tell everybody who you are and what you do for Star Citizen.
So I'm Benoit Beauséjour. You want me to say it again or no? Okay, good.
No.
I am the Chief Technology Officer at CIG. So I guess the best way to describe it is if it has a computer chip in it, I'm kind of involved in a way. So I run the engineering teams, Star Engine Group, and I meddle with all areas of the game, trying to get us forward to our 1.0 release.
Metal's a good word.
Yeah.
My blood sugar is weird or something. I can't see with my glasses. I'm seeing better without my glasses, so we're going to take off my glasses. Although I'm going to have to do the show like this.
So I run
Now I can't see everything else, but I can see this. And
Star
it's
Engine
important.
Group,
All right, so
and I meddle with all
on these
areas of
shows,
the game.
on these special Tech Talk shows, I think we are going to cover a variety of topics. So these topics have all been discussed ahead of time. We worked out. Benoit, as involved as he is with so many aspects of the game, still needs to be afforded the opportunity to check in with other directors and get updates on what they're doing and everything, so that we can provide you the most up-to-date and accurate information. So this will be a show that's less about taking questions from the chat or from the community and more about just a very candid conversation about the current state of the game, the development, where we've been, where we are, where we're going, that stuff like that. So I've divided the show up at this point into sort of three things. I'd switch teams for Benoit. Oh, that wasn't in chat. I was just talking to myself. No, that wasn't chat. Send a DM after the show. That's not appropriate. So we're going to start the show with updates to existing endeavors. So this is the third one of these we've done. We've talked about a couple of things. So I'm going to update on a few of these topics that we've been covering through this before the second section where we get into some new things that we haven't discussed. Cool. So let's start with the biggest one, which is server meshing.
Yeah.
We're now a year on. We talked about it ad nauseum leading up to this thing.
Yeah.
It's now been out a year. This is probably the last time we're going to talk about it for a while again until Dynamic comes, and we're not going to put any dates on that. So let's put the story of server meshing. Let's put a button on the story of server meshing.
Sure.
And I'll break it down into 4 sections. How's it gone? How's this last year?
Well, so like if I recap, like almost same date last year.
Almost, yeah.
Was when we actually launched 4.0 and server meshing actually went to the live environment. And so, yeah, it's kind of the 1-year anniversary of the tech being available for all players. It's been surprisingly solid.
That way people can
I like to say that this way because it's a very large system, but it has given us just good foundation for what we had to do last year in terms of the content drive that we've pushed forward, the performance improvements that we wanted to deploy. It was like we were expecting a lot more turbulence with the release of server meshing than we've had in a year. It's been a very, very stable system overall. And so I would say, like, if I look back at the year, obviously there's always problems, with new technologies, but the server meshing itself has been very, very, very solid for us.
Okay. So in the, quite frankly, years leading up to it, talking about it, it began to get this mythology that it was going to be this silver bullet, that it was going to be this one-stop fix that was going to fix so many issues. It didn't fix every issue in the world. It was never going to fix every issue. But I want to talk about what it has enabled for us in this last year.
Yeah.
So what are some of the benefits that we can draw a direct line from server meshing that we've experienced in the last year?
Well, like if you walk back to the Star Citizen experience before 4.0, so before server meshing got introduced, a server crashing that was the end of your session, right? You would lose your ship, you would lose your cargo, everything would disappear. You'd have to reconnect, restart the client, start over, right? I mean, anybody who's lived through the first years of development of the project know how intense this was, right? And so the first thing that server meshing brought us is server recovery. And so because of the fact that the replication is separated from the simulation, when a game server crashes, which is where most of the crash risk exists, well, the state of the replication is still good. So we just tell you, hey, we're getting another server, you stay there, and when it comes back, we can recover exactly where you were. You don't lose your ship, you don't lose your cargo, you don't lose your materials. And I think that's been a very, very big, it's a kind of the unsung hero feature of server meshing. It helps with, engagement, playing longer sessions, finishing missions. And so for me, that's like one of the big pluses that was brought in with server meshing.
Another big plus I'm sure they're about to mention is the larger server caps. We have gone from 100 players per server to upwards of 800 on occasion. I think the more common numbers is anywhere from 600 to 700 players per server. So it's really changed how big of a group you can have in a server. So that's a good thing. So definitely applaud their work on that.
On top of that, and we did have some crash isolation, to be clear, in 3.24 and before, right? But what server meshing really brings also on top of that is crash isolation. So if a server is in charge of the Crusader area and he's the one running into issues, then only that area is affected. And so the player who's, bounty hunting in Pyro or something like that, he's completely safe from this crash. And that just, the perceived stability has increased a lot based on that. On top of all the work we've done to prevent servers from crashing in the first place, but just this whole setup has made the game a lot more stable in that sense. So that's just the kind of meat and potatoes of what meshing has brought us. But the key bit it brought us also is much larger player counts. And so we used to be limited to 100 players per server, which had the whole universe to simulate. Now we've got a series of servers simulating the universe. And so we oscillate between caps of 600, 700, 800. We're still experimenting going higher with this, depending on multiple factors. That cap changes for the moment. But just the fact of having more players in the same shard means you can have an event where 200 people show up at one area. Surprisingly enough, we've also discovered things through this, that sometimes game servers actually perform better with more players in one area than one server simulating the whole universe would, because he has less entities streamed in, and now it's all about updating the components in that area. So we've seen certain events, because players always find a way to, organize something that should be a problem. But there was a 400-player party in one of the bars on New Babbage, and we looked at the server performance through that, and it was actually very, very decent. And so we expected a full meltdown, but it was actually good. And so that enables that experience, right? Obviously, there's a million other problems to solve for this to be a really good experience, but from a server meshing point of view, that was a big win.
You've got a 500-player meetup coming. I just saw something.
I know. It's like that becomes a kind of common thing, and we love it because that's exactly what the tech is meant to enable. And then obviously the two other things that meshing has brought us this year is 2 new solar systems.
Yep.
And so for years we'd been stuck in Stanton, expanding the Stanton system, more POIs, more planets, more things, and now suddenly we were able to branch into Pyro, which was, everybody at CIG was really looking forward to that. It was internal tension at, when are we going to launch this thing? I've been working on this for a long time.
Yep.
And so that was really a relief to be able to get, players to cross the jump gate. So the jump gate technology obviously comes with meshing. And so expanding into 2 systems in 1 year.
Being able to add Pyro in January. The tech preview was December the year before, but it went live in January, and then next goes live in November, same year. It's this, the most common question. We've been doing this for a long time now. Here, forget other places. We've been doing it just here for a long time. And one of the most common, persistent questions is about the pace of development, and people have been waiting very long for certain things, justifiably so. Yeah. And we've always maintained that its development kind of works on it builds. Yeah. It builds and it builds, and you get more efficient after you build the tools, after you build the foundations. Stuff like this, it gets more efficient. You can do more later on. This year, because of server meshing, we were able to kick out 2 star systems, and we're still expanding on NICs. Every patch this year will expand NICs even more. It's the one in March is looking to expand a bunch of the service stations, and our first big content drop, which I'll go ahead and say right now is supposed to be Rockcracker. If you're content drop, which I'll go ahead and you build the foundations. So it gets more efficient. You can do more later on. This year, because of server meshing, we were able to kick out 2 star systems, and we're still expanding on NICs. Every patch this year will expand NICs even more. It's the one in March is looking to expand a bunch of the service stations, and our first big content drop, which I'll go ahead and say right now is supposed to be Rockcracker. If you watched what was it called, CitizenCon Direct. Yeah. Me and names. You can learn more about that. Yep. But we're currently working towards that as our March release, and then on, just continuing to build out NICs until I think in the Road to 1.0 presentation at CitizenCon 2 years ago, now, a year and a half ago, Rich Tywer acknowledged that Castra would be our next system whenever that comes online. So it's just this technology.
What does that mean? It's unlocked the capabilities to do what
we can actually start to deliver so many of these things that we've been talking about and working on behind the scenes. Instancing has some role in that.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely. There's one more thing that server meshing brought us that's not negligible, is a very substantial gain of performance on the game servers in general. So like 324 game servers were running, we had a very low bar for acceptance on FPS for game servers because we just had to deal with so much. Nowadays, like server FPS is magnitudes higher, so that actually allowed some of the content we've already produced actually shine because it was working properly. And so that's because servers have less to simulate. We can optimize their workload. We've also reduced we've talked about this before, but we've reduced the size of the game servers because they just have to simulate one area. And so overall, the meshing has improved server performance by big magnitudes.
Yep. Yes, Chet, no, my head is not smaller. My hair is just bigger. It was very windy and rainy today, and it's just whatever. No, I haven't had a dye job. It's grayer than it's ever been. No, we are not taking questions from chat, but I will comment on every one of you commenting on my appearance. So that's static server meshing. We know the next big stage of server meshing is dynamic. What can you tell us, if anything, about that?
Well, so the dynamism in the mesh,
Dynamism?
right? Dynamism,
Dynamism?
I guess. So we're running out of words internally to define what the next step of server meshing is. Currently, we're working on quasi-dynamic server meshing, which is we're trying to iterate on the static mesh, right, to bring it so that if an area is empty, right, and nobody's there, we can spin down a server. And if people go to that area, we can spin up a server. To achieve all this, all of the mechanics required for a full dynamic mesh need to be there. So like mass authority transfer between servers, because when a server goes out and it has X amount of entities that it currently has authority over,
To give all those
it needs to
entities
give
the
that
server.
to another one. And that obviously you don't want that process to lock up the parent server. So that whole mechanism is what we're working on at the moment. In fact, we've done over the break, the team has actually reached a milestone. We were able to run with our internal testers a test of quasi-dynamic server meshing internally. So that's good. I mean, it's the first test, so it's a bit rough, but it basically requested, I think, 200 servers to run the mesh. That was a little bit of a bug. But yeah, our ops teams, Ahmed specifically, I got a call from Ahmed immediately. But anyway.
So wait. You've been calling it quasi-dynamic, and I've been trying to workshop a new name for you, and I've just got a little bit of dynamism. But so you did your first test of this quasi-dynamic, like a server. You try to determine how much you need, and the first thing it did was ask for 200 more servers.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah.
A
little bug in the assignment system, but
that sounds like human nature.
Correct. So that's what we're working on right now. That's the next step towards the full dynamic mesh, right? Obviously, the goal with the dynamic mesh, just to recap it, is that instead of having a subdivision that we pre-make in advance, like currently, every patch we look at the territory assignment, is what we call it, of like what's coming, like, oh, we have an event at this place, and most players are going to go to this system, and so we adjust the mesh, right? And sometimes we get it wrong, and it's a very manually intensive process, and we don't want to keep doing that. So the goal with the dynamic mesh is to be able to just adapt to where the players are, the cost of the location they're in, to be able to provision compute dynamically up and down. So there's also the unfortunate cost equation in this, right? The current static mesh will always provision a server for every territory that's configured. And so there's a little bit of savings we can go and get there. But more importantly, the dynamic aspect of it is to be able to always make sure that the proper compute is available for players when they're in an area doing something, right? So that's the goal.
Chat's debating whether the servers have actually achieved AGI and have played the game. And they're just like, we've played the game. Give me 200. Besides server meshing,
Yeah.
last year was coined as the year of playability.
Mm-hmm.
So we've just backdoored a whole bunch of playability improvements that server meshing, which dropped last year, enabled. So we've had all of those improvements last year that made the game far more playable than it was in any previous year. But that phrase has been used, it's weaponized, it's thrown back every once in a while, every time somebody encounters any kind of bug whatsoever. So I want to talk, and that's not entirely unfairly, because everybody's bug that they're encountering is the most important bug in the universe at that given moment, and that one is not resolved because they're encountering it. I want to talk a little bit more about what we did gain last year. So it's whether that's the transit system stuff, the 30Ks finally being killed, the creatures and boss fights and stuff. When you tell me, how did our year of playability go in your head?
Well, so I think that, obviously coming from the server meshing improvements, there was also some failings at the beginning of the year where we saw, transit became a very big problem. That's an example of a
Only
system.
because we tried to use it.
Yeah, well, yeah, or tried to serve you, but badly. But that's an example of a system that was built years ago that wasn't properly scaled over time. And so when you added dynamic gateways for the transit system plus the meshing situation that became a really problematic system. And so that was, I think, the first order of business once we launched 4.0 was like, we need to really take action on transit. And so we talked about this last year, but we did create the Transit Heroes group, which was a coalition of volunteers. Well, they got volunteered.
Voluntold.
Voluntold, yes, exactly. To come and give a bit of oversight on this, to look at the system to see, okay, what do we need to actually, have stable elevators and trains and, make sure that that's always available. Because the traversal of the game, if that doesn't work, then the game doesn't work at all, right? If you can't take an elevator to get out of the habs, then,
you've got 20.
good luck, right? So the Transit Heroes team, I think, has done a fantastic job. They haven't re-engineered the system in that strike team, but they really focused on self-healing strategies, right? If a manager loses a carriage for some reason, for any reason, well, just create another one and get this thing rolling, right? Now, they couldn't fix, in this effort, they couldn't rebuild the system. There was fundamental flaws in how it was engineered for server meshing support. And so, but at least they got it into working condition. So I do think, like, if you look at the game now, transit is no longer the big problem it used to be, right? Like, it actually functions when you need it. Now, that said,
most times
it fixes itself, right? So it's still getting in a weird state, but it fixes itself. So, we've done more about this, and we'll talk about it later.
We're building the transport system.
Correct.
Concurrently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So while this team is repairing the transit system, we're building a new bespoke transport system.
Right. So transport is basically the fix for this, like the real fix.
Let's get to transport when we talk about what's fun.
Yeah.
So what else did we get last year?
Well, I got a list here that I worked out a little bit with Jens just to gather up, because the game is so big. So
I'm gonna limit you a little bit on this time. You've got
okay.
I'm gonna give you 5 minutes.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna give you 5 minutes.
I'm being time boxed
because we do want to get to the new exciting hotness.
I'll go first.
This is important.
Okay. So we talked about 30K
hold
protection.
On, my clock app.
Okay.
Here we go. Sorry.
Go for it.
Go.
You should be a producer. Okay. 30K protection, transit improvements, right, to make it stable. A stable tech base for the content teams. What doesn't show is that to achieve the content we shipped in 25, we actually froze a lot of the technology to give the content teams a stable base to work off. Before, it was a bit more of a mayhem. So we did that. As we built all of this content last year, so a monthly patch was a very heavy cadence.
10 patches last year.
Yeah. I think that what's really cool is that we've built kind of a library of locations and events that if you start playing Star Citizen today, there's that to do, right? It's like that. We never had that before, like a real set of locations that have like a full-on, storyline to follow. So that's really cool. In these locations, we're able to ship some new creatures. So a lot of new creatures and boss fights. So we had the first couple boss fights this year, with Jormandi, Stormbreaker. So that's like a brand new, design discipline for us to design boss fights for multiplayer elements. So that's new. Spawn in Hangar is something that we've actually been able to enable this time. So we tried to enable that in end of 24, and that was a bit of a disaster. 25 now, Spawn in Hangar is there. So if your hangar is available, you spawn directly there. That's actually a very large quality of life improvement. I play the game a lot. It's, not having to go to the habs is fantastic. We've been able to put weather in key locations, including some of those big hero locations we talked about. We're hoping to do more, but for now it actually is there. 2 new star systems, we talk about this. Jump gates, which is a whole, a game on its own. The way it functions is actually super interesting. As you're going through, the zone is moving and you're moving within the zone. It's really a fun system to go through. So that's in. We fixed the goddamn bounty beacons, which is one of the coolest loop in the game. I love it. And, that was obviously not working. So now we've actually got them to work again, which is a big win. Quantum interdiction was in the same bag, where now with a server mesh, having proper interdiction was kind of difficult. So restoring it was an interesting one. We had to actually build systems to allow that, because not every server has a view of the entire shard anymore, and so in order to interdict cross-server, you needed to have a special tech to do that. That fixed also quantum linking. Now, routing is still, there's still issues, right? It's getting there, but at least there's been some quality of life improvements on that side that we've done this year. Freight elevator, ongoing.
We'll have a whole section on freight elevator.
But there's been a lot of, if throughout the year, freight elevators have received tons of
compared to where they started when we attempted to push them, when we pushed them to the forefront for an event, and compared to where we started. But
we talked about server FPS and stability from the meshing and the cleanup that we've put in place. Also, we've pushed at the middle of the year. It came for you guys at the end of the year, but actually we merged it at the middle of the year. But a whole new tech base, including at least a year of graphics update, including Vulkan, coming into the game now. That was what will allow us this year to do some pretty large changes as well. The first weaponized mech, so the Atlas ICT came in, so that's also a really big boost. We still don't know if it's a vehicle. John Crew and I have this ongoing feud. He says it's not. I say it is.
You're dipping into content here. I'm not going to let you count the. I'm not going to let you count the ICT. That's content.
Ah, that's fine.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Well, although the jump jets are where
It's an
feature.
armored
There you go.
The jump jets were.
There you go.
I'll give you half credit for the ICT.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will take that. Comms notification got a big facelift. That's something that we want to use a lot more of, and so we needed the proper tech to be able to render that properly, and not just the quip lines, which you need more immersion than that. So that was actually a pretty big thing with facial animations and tracking, and so that's in there. And then cross shard progress for events. So what powered a lot of the content this year was a new service in the background of the game called the scenario service, which whether you're doing clean air or the resource drive last year, the cross shard progress of these events is tracked by the scenario system, and so that's how we were able to show tables about how many resource drives and resource drives, stuff like that. Exactly.
Yep. That's a pretty good list. You just got, it says 5:02.
Yes.
Look at that.
On time.
And you didn't even mention like item recovery.
No, I did not.
Didn't mention item recovery. And there was one other that I had until I got distracted by my own clock.
It's all a blur.
I got distracted by my own clock. Basically, it's hard. Let me think about how I want to say this. If you've been watching this show long enough, you know that I'm not above taking a section, in this case 5 minutes of the section, to basically go through some talking points that I want, that I think are important, that I think people want to hear. We have had things like the year of playability thrown back at us in comms, and when you see, I tune into a Twitch stream or a YouTube thing, and and somebody gets a very.
Hold up. We're going to do this? Really? Really? We're going to do this right now, Jared. Really? Okay. Let's hear you diss us. Okay.
Very frustrating experience. I was looking at an experience of somebody, just going to town with their Hull C, and they went through a jump point, and it took them trying to go to one system. It kicked them back out to the next system, and the thing crashed. And then they got back in, and the spindles they tried to open the spindles, but the spindles were closed, or looked closed, but they were actually open. So they were in the wrong state. Tried to get refueled, tried to go to refuel. The refuel thing wasn't working, and then stowed the ship and spawned the ship, and it didn't come back on the docking port. It came back in their hangar full of cargo, and it's like this. It's like, we acknowledge that. I'm sitting here saying we acknowledge those things. But there was so many massive improvements last year. You used an analogy last time we did with this about I think it was the big freight container, the big giant Suez Canal shipping things, that you don't just turn the direction around, you don't just spin the wheel and suddenly you're facing a new direction. It takes time to move these things. And the efforts of your teams and the people under you, these strike teams, these hero teams as you call them, to turn that ship, this ship that we call the Persistent Universe, around in the last year has been phenomenal. If I'm allowed to have a personal opinion, being the shill for the company that I am, it's been phenomenal. We haven't gotten everything. We haven't gotten everything. We still got another year. We still got another year. We still got another year. The work continues. Yeah. But it's my show, and I wanted to take 5 minutes to acknowledge the tremendous work of those teams. And a whole lot was accomplished last year, in addition to the amazing content work. You know, I said 10 patches, and I realized we actually had 11 because we kicked engineering out. Yeah. We kicked engineering out in December, so it was actually 11 patches. You know, 11 patches in 12 months is pretty crazy. So you allow me to have a moment, to have some time to sit there and sing the praises of those people, because I've seen where we were, and I know where we are, and we're in a much better place now. Still,
it's just the beginning of the
still places to go.
Yes.
That scenario I just described was like last week, and we got still places to go.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean we don't acknowledge the progress we made.
I think it's a testament to kind of the systematic approach we've taken to solve some of these issues, instead of previously we used to just assign tickets to people and they would, you know, find the fastest way to solve it. And now we're kind of work as a team with the teams in quality assurance that are basically the arbinger. Like, no, it's not fixed. I can still repro, right? And these guys have been going through a systematic approach for it. I think that's paid off a bit, you know.
We get better.
Yeah.
Not always, but we try. And in this case, we've definitely gotten better. There were some big changes to internal infrastructure and stuff in the last year or two, and we're seeing the results of that stuff. All right. So now let's go into some specific updates here. So let's talk about the transport system. We don't need to talk about transit so much anymore. The transport system is what will one day replace this thing. I've heard talk about there being a tech preview of it soon. Talk to me about the transport system.
Well, so transit was problematic, wasn't designed for server meshing. And so transport is a complete rebuild of the transit system, but using more server meshing native approaches for how different pieces are going to manage elements that are streamed out and streamed in. We're also moving away from some previous misconceptions that were put into the transit system. For example, one of them was responsible for trains going into space. We don't want trains to go into space. So
you might not.
Yeah, well, I mean, unless we do a space elevator.
Astro train.
Yeah, Astro train would be great. So the state of transport, right? So at the end of last year.
Sorry, I'm going to pause. What's included in transport? So what? What are we talking about?
So
elevators.
Transit and transport manage elevators, in-ship elevators, trains, anything that has to move when you press a button and you call it. So it's a network of carriage, peripheral, and gateway. Okay. Right. So you take an elevator to go to your hangar. That's transit.
You take a tram.
You take a tram.
Anything that's automated, anything that moves you not under your control.
Right. And he's the one moving the carriages, right? So he needs to deal with carriages being streamed out, you know, like prediction for that stuff. So, so transport is a rebuild of the original transit, which has been, as we talked about, problematic. So the state on transport is, at this point, we are, you know, it's functional. So we've, the team at the end of last year actually completed the first transport link, which was we tested this internally with our QA teams extensively at this point. All of the new Babbage HABs links. So we took one link in the universe, that one, and we tested the crap out of it. Right now, that's a static link. So it's going this. When I say static, it means the 2 points that the elevator goes to exist. Okay. They always exist. So we know that works. Then the state at the moment is we also support hangars. So these are dynamic gateways, because if you're online and you're at the location, your hangar is spawned there. that's a dynamic gateway. When if you leave, that gateway disappears. So the system needs to deal with dynamic gateways. The previous system
Did not.
kinda did, and the kinda bit was the piece that wasn't great.
Okay.
And so we've got internally at the moment new Babbage, we've got hangars and HABs. So the state of transport now is the team is working at converting all of Area 18. So we're talking HABs, hangars, transit trains, all of Area 18 to the transport system. So we're going to go to tech preview with that. That's our plan. And the reason why we need to go to tech preview is because we need players. We've tested this internally. We can't muster as much players as we want. So we're going to try to see if you guys want to come and help us out, test the new Babbage Transit for real on a tech preview to validate all the assumptions that are in the system.
So we're going to launch a tech preview and ask people to just come and ride the elevators,
Correct.
come and ride the trams
And their hangars.
and the hangars,
Yes.
and hope nobody dies.
No trains in space, no doors opening to nothingness. That'd be great. No passing through the floors in the carriages.
The single most exciting tech preview we'll ever do. But incredibly important
Hey,
because it's a tech preview that doesn't just affect Area 18. It's one that can literally affect quality of life in every single landing zone on board every single spaceship.
That has an
the
elevator.
ships that have elevators
Correct.
and stuff. Well, then space stations. It's going to be this little thing for Area 18, but it ripples out to everything.
And so after a tech preview, if everything is validated, there's one thing too we want to try to avoid is the train prediction taking like you in 32 seconds to come in, where the train says train arrives in 1,060,000, which obviously we hope that's
I just thought it was a metaphor for the project. Am I allowed to say that?
At this point you are. After tech preview, we're gonna scale this out to every landing zone, and we're gonna see which patch this will load in. But at that point, we hope to bring transport in and completely deprecate the transit system from the game and nuke it from orbit.
Cool.
Yeah,
And that's next week.
we don't give dates. Best effort, but it's looking good. Like this tech preview is going to be
That's
where we're going to
hilarious.
evaluate really like where we're at with scale, because the issues with transit typically come up with scale most of the time. Right?
Fair enough. I told you we get back to freight elevators.
Yeah.
So what can you tell me about freight elevators and what still needs to happen?
Sure. So the freight elevators are way more complicated than we can imagine because they get affected by other systems like hangars, like planetary locations. There's also multiple flavors of them, top loading, side loading, and they all operate very differently. So this year, we've had issues at the beginning of the year clearly with the freight elevators, like losing items, obstruction, blocking them from functioning.
You said the beginning of the year, but that really came to a head in July. Mid-year.
Where we had even an event that would rely on them, which was, in retrospect,
Well, we knew there was a collection of issues, but we also all of our data said they were only
Localized.
Localized on this. It wasn't until we went to scale
That's right.
that we realized, oh, this is actually even worse than we thought.
Right. It's also coupled to a couple of things, and for that event specifically, which was, we concentrated missions in key locations. That's one thing that has been in our discussions all year, was how we distribute missions, right? How we, if we launch a new mission tomorrow morning and we send everybody to the same spot, that is problematic. Not just because it's not fun, because it's a traffic jam, but also it causes other issues. And so that we learned a lot from that on the design side, I think, overall. But so freight elevators, though, so we're pretty happy with some of the core mechanics, but there's still very egregious issues that we're tracking. So there's roughly 73 total issues that we know about. 51 of those have been resolved. So I've asked one of our teams in our Nathaniel Fisher, resident expert in freight elevators, to track that. So the rest of these issues some of them are really problematic. One of them we actually discussed, you and I, just before the show, was how if you're turning in Wicklow items, you need to put them one by one.
Things in a box. You have to be able to put things in a box.
Correct. And so
You have to be able to put things in a box and have it suck up that box.
Yes, I agree, 100%. And so that's going to be one of the first ones I think we need to look at. The other one is a bit more problematic because we don't have a proper repro for, but sometimes there are lost items that fail if there's like a backend slowdown when things get stowed. So we have a couple reports for this, not many, but the ones that we have are critical. And so, this is a kind of a rule we've set on the CGP team. So Jens and I are pushing this to everybody. It's like the golden rule for everything related to freight elevators or anything that touches inventory is a player should never lose an item interacting with these systems, right? We need trust in them 100%. And so that's why we're tracing on those issues. So there's still a lot more work required on freight elevators for different edge cases. A new one that we started seeing in 4.6, which seems affected by another change, but is sometimes like putting stuff on the elevator, not on the grid, will cause it to disappear,
right?
Which is kind of a physics cleanup conflict. So I know we're looking into this right now because that's a big one. But and then everything that has to do with stacking. So having a stack in your inventory that you want to unstow onto the freight elevator. That mechanism from a backend perspective is actually a creation. I know that sounds weird, but you have a stack of 10, that's one item with a stack of 10. You may bring it, it's a creation of 9. So that bit is not stable right now. We're trying to improve that that mechanism.
It's hard because there's a lot of the chat right now is debating Wicklow at the moment. And
wait, did I say his name?
Well, if I say it 3 times, he shows up on the screen.
Hey, Vertigris, what's going on,
not
man?
insignificant part of
Hope you're
the
doing
dislike
well.
for Wicklow is directly related to that freight elevator. It's just we have a section later on. We asked around. We'll get to it, but we'll give you a preview. But we started talking like what is the single greatest quality of life thing that we can do. And I went around and I asked a couple head honchos here around the company because I was curious. I did an interview before, like what to you is the single biggest quality of life thing we could do, the single biggest. And on more than one occasion, shout out to Jens. I'm going to spoil it here. Not losing items.
Yeah.
Just not losing items. Just that seemingly simple, benign, innocent little thing. Like if everything else is important, everything else is super important, everything else is super necessary. It absolutely is. But God is my witness. If we can just make it so people don't lose their items, so I agree. Shout out to the heroes of the freight elevator hero squad. I thought it was Strike Squad, but you've rebranded it during this call as Hero Squad, and I like it.
Right.
So we'll do it, and everybody, the people on item recovery, the people in the new inventory, people who are working on the new inventory system right now. It's everybody working to fix that because that's just the single most demoralizing thing in the world to me. Speaking of item recovery, we launched V0 or V1 or whatever the heck we called it, T0. I'm hearing that there's a T1 on the horizon.
Correct.
Talk to me about it.
Well, so obviously Tier 0 was a fairly large change to the game, so that in the case where you die in the verse, instead of having to run a corpse run to recover your items, you would actually respawn with them. This was mainly done to, we're in an alpha game, we needed to do some compromises, so we looked at that. So item imprint, there's multiple names for this at this point. Item imprint, item recovery, Tier 1, entitlements 2.0. Those are all sort of related. So the gist of it is, and this ties into some other subjects, but is that currently when you play the game, right, and you look at your ASOP terminal, I think I've said that last time, but I'll still go through it again. When you look at your ASOP terminal, the list that you see there is the list of entitlements that you own, which ship that you own, you have a right to, right? Then that's cross-linked with the actual ship. Do you have it? This entitlement, let's say it's a Connie, what is it in the game, right? And where is it? And that's how the ASOP terminal shows you the list, right? So that's why you're able to have a row when there's no ship and it says retrieve or deliver, right? That creates the ship. Then deliver brings you the ship on the platform. Those entitlements currently, they don't live across patches. We recreate them. The first time you log in, there's a big process that reconciles your account, grabs your web purchases, grabs your LTP records, and recreates those entitlements. Obviously, long-term persistence has always been it's a difficult problem to solve. It sounds simple, but it is not, I assure you. But in order to facilitate all this and also other item recovery needs, we've decided to basically persist those entitlements across patch. So these things will never get wiped anymore. And so losing a ship is not going to be a thing. That's not going to be technically possible. We never really delete entitlements. And so you have insurance on those records, so you can claim insurance. The only way to lose a ship will be if you no longer have insurance on it. You still have the deed for it, but you can't claim it. So item recovery is a rework of the entitlement system. It touches on how you claim insurance on ships. It allows snapshotting of ships, but also FPS items, so that these live with an insurance loadout that we can keep and recover, and then will give us the ability to recover or claim your even FPS items. So think of it as an insurance system for FPS items. Right? So this whole mechanic ties into LTP as well. We're also hoping through the system to solve some of the issues that exist with, taking components off of a ship and claiming the ship, losing the components, and or in some cases being able to duplicate some default components. This whole loop is insurance has always been a problem design-wise for how this functions. So item imprint v1 allows you to imprint items, save that state, and then recover it on death or when you claim insurance.
All right, so I have a couple questions here based on what I heard. You keep mentioning insurance. Are you saying that insurance will be in alongside V1 or just, yeah, exactly.
Correct. I say insurance because that's the same kind of loop in terms of what the services are doing to do this, but basically it's a snapshot we recover from.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
So when item recovery V1 comes out, it'll still be much like it is today as far as insurance. Everybody will just have everybody has LTI on everything at the moment right now until that very specific gameplay system is implemented. So this is not that. No. You're using lowercase I insurance.
Lowercase I, yes.
Sorry, I just needed to, I'm like,
underscore I.
I didn't think ship insurance was coming in this one.
Yeah.
So just to clarify that before folks go off. You're saying that because it's a change to the entitlement system and everything will just get snapshot and moved over, when you say people will no longer lose ships, you're talking about that whenever a patch comes out, people come in and they're talking about the ships that they've earned in game, the ships they've either bought with AUEC or stolen or whatnot. Those should persist.
If you have an entitlement for something, we no longer wipe that between patches at all. We keep it completely.
Okay.
So that should give us a lot more. In fact, it is exactly the way you would expect it to function right now, except the way the systems were built in the past didn't account for that. And so there was cases where you could lose something that you own because it was left unstowed in a shard or something like that. And so now with the entitlement system, we keep that cross-patch.
So the first question I have in response to that is, how will people get rid of things? Because quite frankly, I might go joyriding one day, or I might buy a thing for AUEC and fly it, and then decide I don't want it, I don't like it, and now it's just sitting there staring at me in the ASOP. If these things don't go away between patches now, every time I want to try a ship, or I just move away for a ship, or John Crew nerfs the hell out of the ship and I don't want to fly it anymore.
Goddamn John Crew.
I might want to get rid of it. So will there be is there going to be a mechanism for getting rid of these things?
Well, not with item imprint, right? As part of this, no. But there are, I don't want to go too much into details into this, but I can give an example of, like, you have a ship filled with cargo that you stow into your location inventory in New Babbage, and you claim that ship, right? In the current way the system works, that cargo's lost, right? That ship will get deleted and you're done, right? You get a new one, but it's the same entitlement, right? With the new system, we have the ability to also show you ships that you own that had an entitlement on it. And so what that means is you could claim that ship, you'll get a new, let's say it's a Caterpillar filled with cargo, and you're like, I need to claim it for some reason. You can claim the ship. The other ship will be bricked, right? That's how the design is functioning. So it's no longer usable, but you can still retrieve it. You can still retrieve the bricked ship and get it. And then if you destroy the ship or tow it out, then it'll go away from your entitlement. But there's going to be more system, of course, to remove that from your ASOP terminal longer term, but not in this phase, but longer term, yes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the long-term players, the people who have been here for a while, who have acquired a rather massive fleet already. And
I'm a victim of this.
You know, and you start buying ships, and I'm guilty of it. There's just sometimes I don't want this anymore. I don't want to look at a I don't know, a Rock DS anymore. Just want it out of my ASOP. I bought it mistakenly from Astro Armada. I just had a momentary weakness, and I don't want that Rock DS staring at me in my ASOP for the end of time, because you've done a wonderful thing with item recovery, you know, V1.
But now you keep it,
and
now
now
you're stuck with it.
Yeah, some things
Are you saying
aren't
you
meant
don't want
to
your
be,
ships anymore?
I'm just saying some things aren't meant to be persisted. So I just want to take this opportunity to just
that's a
encourage.
good conversation.
There should be some way to remove, to get
I'm
rid of
very
it.
curious about why you singled out the Rock DS out of this.
How much time you got?
How much time do you got? That comment. Oh my God. I could make a meme with this picture right here. Oh my God. Yeah. How much time do you got? Yeah. Right, Jared?
Jared hates the Rock DS confirmed. Oh, you haven't been watching for a while if you're just getting that confirmed now. Jared, you're not supposed to be going on shows and telling people you hate certain ships. You're supposed to be championing everything. I'm like,
Yeah.
I hate the Rock DS. It's just.
It's comfy though. It's got to get
Hold on,
sense.
let's just do everything the first Rock does, but require 2 people. Look, I've never lied to you. I never will.
Sure.
It's the only promise I've ever made people. You've been mentioning long-term persistence, so let's just wrap up this the storyline of losing stuff, keeping stuff. The last time we had this conversation, you talked about utilizing this entitlement system. Is that what we were just talking about, or is there more stuff?
There's more. So there's a lot of work ongoing on this, on the long-term persistent side. So just for those who don't know what long-term persistent is, or LTP, there's a mechanism we put in place to allow you to keep things between patches, right? So every patch we basically destroy, like when you come into 4.7, when it comes out, that's a brand new database, right? The whole thing is fresh, and then we recreate things. Now, why do we recreate things? It's because these things are still changing. So the Hornet you had in 4.5 is probably different than the Hornet you have in 4.6. Item port locations have changed, materials have changed, serialized variables and all the data that goes with it has changed.
The gold standard Aurora that we just launched is technically an entirely different ship. The whole entity is different.
Yeah, exactly.
And under the hood, to the backer, it looks like, okay, you just added some fins and blah blah blah. But under the hood, it's an entirely new set of entities.
And so, in order to allow us to keep stuff, we've built this system on the side that kind of keeps records of what you own. So it says you own a Hornet, right? That system has always been kind of I don't want to say a crutch, because it did function for a long time, but we've outgrown it quite a bit. There are also many cases where we would remove records of things that you own because they're in play in a shard. And that's been proven to be a bit of a bad decision overall, and so that's why we've had multiple issues over the years of like players losing ship entitlements in the new patch, or having more items than they were supposed to get. Like, some people have shown some screenshots of demultiplication of things between patches, and so it's been a big issue, right? So with the item imprint work, we're tying into that. We're reducing the footprint of what LTP manages by a lot because it will no longer store your entitlements. We just keep those as is. So that's one big bit removed from that system. The other complexity on that side is that it needs to manage nested inventories. And
back to the freight elevator thing
that's
again.
just completely crazy. So like, I have a handgun stored in the glove box of my Merlin that's attached to my Connie, that's parked somehow inside of my, Idris and stowed in my location inventory. Well, I need to give you a record for that gun, right? And so that system needs to reread data and store it, and it's really complicated.
Which is why people have gotten into the habit before a wipe, or before, not wipe, but before a patch.
Yeah.
Oh, Freudian slip, huh? I know you people. But before a patch, people stow things in certain inventories to have their best chances.
Yeah, to kind of set it up, right? So on long-term persistence, ultimately, we don't want this system, right? Ultimately, we want, and we'll all change the shape of things. Now, the thing you got to think about the way the ships are built, right? The entities have components on them which enable them to do something. I'll give an example just for the layman. You have a health component on an entity that says, hey, I got 100 hit points. When that reaches 0, then we destroy the entity, or something else happened, it destroys itself, right? That component is written in code. There's a game programmer that's maintaining this. We actually have a health component. It does way more things than this, but just to keep it simple. So a game programmer is programming this, and he needs to persist the value of health so that when this chip is now either put in an inventory, then brought back into the game, that the values of the health components on the parts, on the individual parts, have persisted and we reload it, right? This is true for everything in the game, right? We have serialized variables and components across the game. There's, I think your character at the moment has like 800 serialized variables on it or something like that, right? So those are all different components. Are you crouched? Are you standing? Are you, health of all the limbs, stuff like that, right? So the programmers between patches, they just changed that. I removed this one, and I put a new one in, and then because some of those variables, it doesn't matter if it changes.
Yeah.
Some of them matter, right? If you change that, like it's a different shape, it loads a different CGA model, whatever, right? So that's the big problem about how we need to forward migrate is we need to do this at the very low level. So currently, our network team and our online teams are working at this mechanism to be able to differentiate the important from the important SVs, the serialized variables, on components. So that's all across all components in the game. There's over 1,500, 2,000 components, individual code components in the game. So, for example, I don't need to know if you're crouched when I stow you in your inventory, right? I don't need to know that, right? But I need to know that when we're running and you're crouched, right? So we differentiate the two, and then we have a mechanism to migrate the data format from one to the other. When we get that functionality in and reliable, what that means is that we will just keep the database. And that is huge because now that means there's no longer a process between patches that transfers stuff or moves it around or recomputes things. It's the same database. We're just moving its version forward on demand. Now we've looked at multiple different options for that. Some of them were like, just migrate people from one to the other, but then we'd have to keep 5 databases behind. It's just impossible. And so right now we're working at that option, and that's the longer term vision that we have for that. So first, reduce the footprint of the LTP system so it just manages some things, not all, and then work on the real fundamental issue, which is we need forward migration on all this data.
How many times in your life has a errant, random, unexpected serialized variable been the cause of distress in your life?
I mean, it's crazy. This is the single most important thing because, like, in case you guys don't know, every time we do full patch is easy because we patch server, client, hybrid, everything goes in at once. But when we perform hotfixes, and God knows we've done a lot of hotfixing this year, right? That's part of our process now. But there's like specific steps where we have our live QA team need to do compatibility checks, and any change to any serialized variable, added, removed, change the format, change the data, whatever, incompatible client. And so getting our processes in place to catch those before they get introduced, right, is really taxing, because, you know, there's always oh yeah, also fix this bug, and that make the whole hotfix incompatible and we can't launch it. So we have to backtrack, change our approach, whatever. And so that's the kind of thing we're dealing with. This will also solve that if we can make it.
And before somebody says you should have just made a simpler game, Benoit. Have you considered just making a simpler game?
Yeah, cool.
All right, I want to move into our quality of life section here.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit before, because we just talked a whole lot about not losing things and all the efforts being made to not losing things. But there are other major quality of life things. For me, personally, after the not losing the things, it's social.
Yeah.
It's social. The ability to group with people, the ability to communicate with people, the ability not to communicate with people, the ability to just be like, oh, hey, that's a bad person. That's a bad person with bad thoughts and bad intentions, and boop, boop, and kick them into the pit from 300.
Sure.
And whatnot. Never to see or hear from that person again.
Right.
All the tools for joining up. Finally, people have been creating and managing orgs on our website since 2013.
Yeah, 13.
And this is 2026, and those orgs still not in game.
Correct. What are we doing?
We're reenacting a little play, because Benoit and I have had this conversation almost verbatim for a little time. I'm just doing the conversation we had in private for you guys right now. So my question, Benoit, friend, person whom chat has dubbed brother, my brother.
From another mother.
When, Benoit? When, please, dear God in heaven above or down below, who do I have to talk to?
Sure.
Give me something.
Good.
For social.
Yeah. Well, so what is it now? It's all a blur. A social universe, right? The last panel that we did at CitizenCon, that outlines the vision of what we want to do with social. Now, with the year that we just had, we had to take a little bit of a detour on that initial plan, but right now we have completely formed the social strike team, and so a bit like the heroes team, right? The social strike team, its only mission is to execute this plan, right? And so
so don't bury the lead. There is now an official dedicated team on this.
Social strike team, yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And so this group is currently looking at all of the components that make up the social systems now, right? Fortunately for us, the work didn't stop on this side, even though we couldn't enact the changes in the game. On the back end side of things, there's been a lot of progress on social. And so even though the systems look primitive in game, their capabilities have grown quite a bit, even in 25.
Just not using them yet.
So we do have a block list that we leverage now. It's simplistic, but because we didn't have the UI resources to do it completely. But moving into this strike team, right, covers all areas of social. So the plan is to go into 4 different pillars for it. So the first order of business is the Comlink app. So the Comlink app is like one of the oldest mobiGlas application we still have. It's kind of an eyesore because it's like from a dark, ghost of futures past. It's like from 2000, I want to say 1918 at this point, style-wise. Very old technology, still use the legacy even UI framework that we had in the game. So we're completely eliminating that tab. We're bringing in forward the social application that we've shown at CitizenCon, so that design is moving forward. So replacing that, chat widget, right? So the entire chat experience in the game, we're completely overhauling this from the top at the moment. So we're right in the process of changing that. and hooking it up to the new systems. Revamping things like social notifications. Currently in our mobiles, we only have one kind of level of notification, which is like ultra important. So to have a proper social experience, you need to have these like system updates, system notifications, like someone joins, someone leaves, whatever. Looking at things like combat log and all the stuff that we've looked at in the social universe panel. So we're actively building this now, and that's going to be the first. We don't know. I'm not going to say which patch is going to land in. So our schedule is twofold. There's a content patch schedule and there's a feature schedule. The features need to have leeway because it depends on where they're going to land.
Man, I hope
but
it's
that's
sooner
going to be the
rather
first
than later.
update to social will be Comlink app, right? So rich party information, friend phone tracking, chat app. So we're working on this right now actively.
For a 2026 release?
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's like you mentioned, it's kind of urgent at this point that we do something there. This will automatically roll into the next. No, keep your dad here. Come on. On the next milestone for the Social Strike team is going to be looking at the party finder mechanic, right? Which basically allows you to advertise your party and then get people to join in. Like, let's say you're looking for a gunner and some FPS guys for your mission, then you can advertise that. If you're looking for friends to go do a specific event, you can do that as well. And so Party Finder, we're hoping, is going to be a way for you to find friends on a given shard really rapidly. Also tie that in with your friendship and your contacts. So that will be we're building on the first release, which will have now friend and foe tracking into that. And so that's going to be super interesting. That's the second system we want to bring in. And then obviously number 3 of 4, right, is the org system. And so in that space, we're taking the orgs on the website from 2013 and we're moving them completely. Obviously, the technology we used to build that in 2013 are obsolete. They're, it's a really old system. So we're bringing all of this data back into a game service to manage orgs, to surface that obviously game side. So now have org management screens, have your organization chat in the game, and then actually be able to create your organization from the game as well as surface it outside. So that's like, okay, now orgs are in the game. That's the first.
That's the whole name, and then the org.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this will probably. I mean, we're still having internal discussions about how that surfaces. In our game, nothing is always set in stones, but probably going to tie into FPS, scanning radar, additions to when you fly your ship to identify others with scanning, and so the orgs will be part of that. That's it. Visibility in game, chat in game for your orgs, actually having your organization communications.
Yeah, that's a whole nother series of conversations. Weighing immersion versus running around and seeing it burns when I PvP.
Yeah.
Above people's heads. It's like,
sure.
So
let me solo her.
Just fun fact, I got to write the original guidance at Blizzard for that back in 2004 for World of Warcraft. Yeah, I got to make the original list of, these are examples of really bad guild names.
Nice.
To train game masters way back when.
Cool.
Chat, you've been saying it. It's next on the list.
Yeah.
VoIP.
Yeah.
VoIP, if you're doing all this stuff, VoIP.
We're looking at VoIP.
Such an important element.
Sure. It's all part of it.
Graham tells me it's entirely your fault.
Graham is, I don't want to say it.
Graham did not say that. He heavily implied it, though.
No.
Graham is more savvy than I am. He knew not to say it outright.
Yeah, that's right. We love him, but he's wrong. No, but okay. So VoIP, we're doing improvements there on the backend side of things. So VoIP is mainly, right now heavily affected by the shard size. So the original design for this was really made for the 100 servers, and so we haven't had a chance to go back there at all. As part of this work, this team is also going to look at the infrastructure for voice transmission, and we're going to try to make it scale to the proper thing. So one element that we're talking about on chat and comms is that we're probably going to be moving away from the server chat. So what the original global 600 player chat, and move into regional chats like a true MMO, so that it's tied to the region that you are. Maybe multiple channels for that, and so VoIP will also be affected by that because it also powers proximity chat, and so proximity voice. Sorry, so we're looking at voice transmission from the top to bottom. We're changing the whole backend for this to make it scale there.
What do you have against Baron's chat?
Baron's chat was dope.
Baron's chat was. I mean, apparently Baron's chat was so dope we implemented it here and have had it for the last 10 years.
That's right. Correct.
So,
correct.
Sorry.
We're also like out of this. There's also some movement on player reporting for bad behavior. So not just blocking, which is, is something that we have now, but that we want to expand on. But also like player reporting on for other players that are, either bad behavior, profanity in chat, things like that. Obviously, we don't at CIG don't have a large, moderation team in game, so we're going to need some automated help there that will come and clean up some of these elements. So we're trying to, really tackle communications, from the top there with that strike team.
So social, there's not ever losing an item. Shout out to gameplay engineering director Jens. That was his major one, and then
that was his coin.
that was his one. Didn't feel strongly enough to come on the show though.
No.
Jens.
Yeah. Next time we do a duo. Let's sign him up right now.
So not losing things.
Yeah.
Social tools. We'll throw VoIP in with social tools.
So chat, party finder, orgs is what we're going in order.
As far as major quality of life, I want to ask you personally. I'm allowed to say things personally sometimes. I do it often on my live shows, and then get in trouble for it afterwards. Benoit, I want your personal thing. What is your big bugaboo? What is your big quality of life bugaboo? The thing.
So personal.
Yeah.
I've got 2. I've added 1.
Scope creep.
Yeah. Okay, so I would say for me, in terms of quality of life, I love to play the game in a kind of a larger setup. So I have a kind of a flight seat that I like to operate to play the game, and this thing has roughly 13 devices connected to the game. Managing bindings is literally the worst. And so that's my pet peeve. If there was one thing that I could do for my own game experience, like other than like the in-game elements, it would be completely control bindings. Currently we rely on device order for some things, and so like literally you need to have like a kind of almost a common order for the devices on your machine. Sharing these profiles is very difficult. Being able to bind onto multiple devices, to really benefit from that. Being able to bind on multiple, like the same action on multiple devices, for me is super key, right? So that would be my absolute personal thing, quality of life to solve, would be device handling in general.
And you're announcing you've created a hero strike team for this.
No, I wish I could just do that, but it'd be cool,
So that's not something coming soon.
Well, there is work being done on the control systems, right? But not that I could say it's coming soon to Star Citizen. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of work there.
And while you're at, it'd be nice if it stored them and saved them.
Exactly.
Having a system for actually configuring that made sense and whatever, that's all great and whatever. But if I got to redo it every patch,
yeah, I know.
So
saving them, cloud save across machines would be great, right? Yeah, exactly.
Talk dirty to me, Benoit.
I mean, it's the kind of thing where like I do maintain a couple of rigs at CIG, and people are always changing bindings, but the problem is I can't reapply my bindings because it's not the system anyway.
So there are sim pits in the office. There's Sims in just about every office at this point, aren't there?
Yes.
Yeah. And Benoit is as if he didn't have enough to do. It's his little pet project. He's intricately involved in them. It's every time I come by and he's at a sim pit, I'm like, you have more important things to do. He's like, and it's always like, somebody change my bindings. Sorry, Pete. I needed the emphasis on it. It's just the number of times I've walked past this man who it's just like, so yes.
I mean, it's because Yogi and I always are fighting against what the best binding is. You know, mine is clearly better, but you know. So we've decided that at some point we'll just fix the binding system so that we don't have to argue. Just load the one you want.
And you had a second one.
So my second one for inside the game is that I've always found in general, like, you know, like mission chains is a thing that I feel our gameplay is always one dimensional, right? Like you do a thing, you finish it. Missions, so I know because I know of things, right? I know we're working on an updated mission system.
You're talking about the limitations of the existing missions. You're not talking about the quality of the work of the people that are working on these things.
Yeah.
You're talking about the tools that they have to work with.
The system around it doesn't allow us to do these massive quest chains, right? And I think that for me would be a huge quality of life because you could go onto a long adventure that takes you across multiple things. And so
Elliot Maltby was about to be on the corner of the building.
I know,
with
he's
high-powered
calling me
rifle.
right now.
You know, you're talking about the tools that our mission
to enable these
available.
guys. Exactly. So I know we are working on an updated way to make missions that is a lot more scalable for that, right? And for me, that's like a big quality of life because I feel you can go on a longer adventure, and I think that's a big quality of life overall.
Okay. I think I know that's one that a lot of people would comment on. I mean, what they're doing within the tool set that they've had for so long.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about a little bit of why that. Well, maybe not why,
Sure.
but we can acknowledge. We can acknowledge that the tool set that was originally developed was not robust enough. It was not in line with the directions of a proper MMO.
Right.
It's no. I'm trying to decide how candid I want to be here and whatnot. It's a mission system. It's a mission system that can't give you a reward for doing something. Like we built the first version of the mission system where you do a thing, you achieve a goal, and we can't hand you a thing.
Right.
And that it's. I'll just use that simple example as a coloring of the limitations of the existing mission system. For however that was built and why that was built and who that was built and everything, we've made changes internally to fix it. We've made changes internally to adjust it, to replace it. It's currently underway. What they've managed to do with the limitations has been stellar. I was just seeing stats about the event that's on right now. The event that's on right now, built with the existing system, built with the limitations, has our highest concurrency in the last 2 years outside of an Invictus or an IAE. So it's like they're doing tremendous work. Yes. They're doing tremendous work with.
Hang on. I gotta say, despite being a short event, if you are with a big group, this event was really well planned, has excellent rewards, especially the crafting machine. So yeah, I have to agree with Jared here. Was it a perfect event? No, but I hope they take the lessons from this event and move forward with it to build even better ones in the future. Hey Bendy, welcome to the chat. You too, Vertigris. Hope you're doing well. I'm sure you guys agree with me. This event was really good, I think, for the game, the community, everything. It was a really good event. Not a great, not perfect, but it was good.
with the tools that they have.
Yes.
We've got to unlock those tools.
That's exactly right.
We've got to
It's
unlock
exactly,
new tools for them.
That's for me, that's the quality of life update.
Because if they can do this with that,
Yeah.
imagine what they could do if they could actually chain these things together and segment them off and have one continue after another and stuff like this. So
Exactly. And tie into reputation, economy, you know, so that it actually is one big loop, right?
all right.
Cool.
Now that I've saved your life from LA Maltby killing you. Let's talk about some features currently in development.
Sure.
Crafting.
Yeah.
Tech preview just happened recently. How's that going?
Good, actually. I mean, I don't want to say surprisingly good because the team did amazing work on it, but it's been going super well. I mean, there's a lot of work left, right? But I think that we got what we needed from the tech preview, and it wasn't a complete meltdown, which is, you know, always a good thing. But you know, the team is working really hard to try to hit potentially a patch soon with crafting, which you know, I really believe that crafting is such a big step for Star Citizen as a whole. You know, it's just it will be a different game with the crafting system in place, and so the work that those teams are doing right now to bring this to life is incredible. I think that we're leveraging the technology that we have to, you know, be able to create runtime items with different, you know, properties and things like that. And so far, the first tech preview has been surprisingly solid and a success, I would say. And so now we're riding the coattails of that tech preview to, you know, try to see for a launch window for crafting.
And you can't have crafting without the inventory rework.
Correct. That's right.
And I rarely ask a question I don't know the answer to already. The inventory rework is in the same tech preview, right?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was.
Because if you can't, so you can't have crafting without the inventory rework, but the tech preview for crafting doesn't have.
Technically, you can. They can be.
It would just be really bad.
Exactly. It's more from a game design point of view. But the inventory work is going really well. I mean, some of the people have been reposting screens recently on the original concept, right? That was shown. I mean, it's starting to look like that, so that's really good.
When does that go into tech preview?
We're hoping very soon, because like at this point, every version that I've seen is fully functional, and so we.
Exciting to hear. Crafting, like they said, is going to benefit everybody, change the game, create a player economy. It's going to drastically change the game. I'm very excited about this development chat moving forward. It's going to be a very different game probably by the end of the year. We'll just have to simply, like they said, wait and see when it gets dropped into the verse.
Just really want to solve one thing. This is one, and you say quality of life, like if I have a third one to add to my list, right? The speed of rendering of icons in the inventory, right? And so like right now, you open your inventory and there's always a moment where it's rendering RTT, like the render to texture icons for each of those. Now, in case you don't know, this is a full 3D scene that gets rendered flat right there. Like we have versions of this in previous concepts where it's full 3D. It's, you know, super nice, but
takes forever to load.
The user experience is not great, right? And no matter the amount of work we're going to put on the UI and the functionality of inventory, the speed of the UI is really a thing that we need to improve. And so that's the part that we're still iterating on now. We've done massive improvements, but there's still, you know, we need to dial that in perfectly, because that's the part we really want to solve.
But you feel good about it?
I feel good about it. Yeah, absolutely.
You feel good enough to say 4.7 in March?
I think so. I think so.
Don't put the camera, when he says that, you got to put the camera in him. No, you look at the camera, you say inventory.
I think inventory is going to be in 4.7. I think so.
Okay.
You're going to put the small text after this, right?
No, this is live. this is live, baby. No small text. And so if inventory rework is 4.7, I'm not going to push you on crafting. It's a super complicated thing or whatever. But
I mean, the teams are working really hard for that launch window if they can make it.
For that launch window.
We're pushing really hard for that launch window.
You're pushing really hard to get crafting in 4.7
Yes.
in March.
Yes.
Okay.
No promises.
No, pushing hard is fair. Pushing hard is fair, and it's in line with what I've seen.
Yeah.
I've seen. So I won't correct you on that or whatever.
Now we don't know what surprises are ahead, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So keep tech previewing.
Keep tech previewing, exactly.
Yep. And for your part, keep logging into the tech previews and keep testing. It's I cannot stress this enough. The more involved folks are in those things, the more likely we are to be able to deliver them.
And the feedback is really key. Yeah.
Most of the feedback's okay. Some of it's trash, to be completely honest. Small amount of it. It's just what? Hey.
It is what it is.
Hey. Canada goes both ways. How's instancing going?
Very good, actually. We actually had a summit this week about instancing, about getting all of the levels set up to support it. At this point, so maybe I can do a quick recap on what we've discussed in instancing before. So we talked about server meshing, right? So instancing is basically an additional system on top of server meshing, which allows us to take an area of space and give it to a server in the mesh to manage, right? Doesn't matter which one. The geographical, if I want, the spatial position of this thing doesn't matter, right? So for example, when you go to your hangar right now, that is an instance, right? So what we're doing is we're taking this system that manages and we're making a true instance manager with it. So we currently have the backend service completed for this. And so what that provides is the mechanism for creating an instance that that is associated with you or your party, and having rules for this instance is made for how many players, enforcing player caps and party caps for that instance, managing the life cycle of the instance. So hey, we want go back to my WoW days. Maybe that's dated now, but like your Molten Core instance lives for 10 days, right? So the instance manager is in charge of doing that. So that system's in place now. And so the teams are currently working at how the entrance to the instance is going to work, right? So, well, we know how it's going to work, but like how it ties into level. So level designers put in, an entrance way.
Right.
At what point are you crossing the boundary? What brings you to the instance? What brings you out? Transport is a requirement for instancing. So just ties into all the discussion we just had. Like transit cannot bring you to an instance, but transport can.
Okay.
So basically we want to power that up there. So you can imagine an area of space that you walk into through a SAS or an elevator or a transit train. And when you come out, you're in the instance, but you don't even see...
You never see the loading screen.
Demarcations, exactly. Now you're inside the instance, you play inside the instance, you can gather items, inventories, whatever, boss fights, etc. And then you can exit through another transit link, and that's it, you're back in the world.
So if we do this right, you should never be aware that you're doing it. We might have to put some kind of indicator on there because of like raid locks or whatever. We talked about municipal works,
Right.
And like this. So there might have to be some UI stuff to tell you to.
Yeah, some screens will show you like, oh, you can't enter this because
But from
like
an experience, we're not. It's
Hang on, chat. I was going to say, I was letting them fully explain everything before I give my input on the show. Sorry, back to them.
There's no load screen. There's no, hold on, please wait. You're transferring you to, whatever. Like you see, it's just you're going to go and suddenly the world around you is going to melt away and you will be in a section of the universe that is dedicated entirely to you and your party.
Exactly, to play it, right? And then, we're also talking about, at the moment, how the instance manager responds to the mission system, because we might want to be able to change what level you're going into when you pass the threshold or things like that. And so, or the access rights, right? So if you think back, man, I keep going back to WoW, this sucks, but whatever. in the good old WoW days, you know, you need to do lower Blackrock Spire, and at some point, someone has a key. That's the requirement that unlocks upper Blackrock Spire. Well, we're thinking about mechanics in that vein that allow the mission system to lock or unlock or the access rights to an instance. And so all of this is currently being managed, but it's going really well. Most of the networking capabilities that we needed have been added already. So one of them is that currently when you go to your instance, the way the server actually tracks that is we put a flag on your character that enables you to stream in your hangar and actually view your hangar when you go there. And we remove that flag when you leave it or when you go elsewhere when the hangar is removed. And so in the code up to now, we only had the ability for a single one of those on your character. So we can only give you access to one instance. But we need to be able to give you access to multiple instances, because we might have areas of transit that cross like one instance to another instance, things like that. We're going a bit deep with this, but at the moment, those mechanics are ready, so the networking bit is done. So now we're really about crafting the first experience that we want to do with instancing.
And the first instance content will be Siege of Origin. We announced that.
Redux.
Siege of Origin Redux. Ooh, c'est en France.
Yeah.
That's scheduled to come online. We talked about it during CitizenCon Direct. That's one of the content drops that are scheduled for this year.
Yeah.
Basically everything you should, we've been talking more about a schedule than I probably intended at the beginning of this thing, but everything you saw
talk about stuff.
Sorry, everything that you saw at CitizenCon Direct last year is scheduled for 2026. So, and we announced at the beginning of the year with the first ISC that we've now moved to a bi-monthly. That's once every 2 months for those who like homonyms. I'm not above recycling a joke. Content thing. So if you know, the first one was in January. We've already stated the second one's in March. The third one will be in May. There's always a patch in May for very important reasons. So forth and so forth. So when you it's one of those things where when you look at the content for CitizenCon Direct, you can sort of start to reverse engineer where things go. I'm not going to tell you. I'm saying you've got the tools. You've got the tools. You can pretty much kind of gather where everything is going to be. And I'd like to see your schedules. And that's just content. That's just the content stuff, because that's really what we talked about at Citizen.
I can tell you, like, from being with the team this week, working on instancing, everybody's like super stoked. Like it's like the energy is really high on like, oh man, you know how you enter it, how you exit it, what gameplay is going to be in it. There's also a big piece of this, which is like some designers, in this case, can design an experience that is repeatable. Most of the content we've produced this year was, there's a PvE experience for it, but it's fundamentally in a PvP zone. So that is giving them those tools to make something that's fun and repeatable as an experience. And the energy is really good.
Nope. Now, chat's like, Squadron 42, whatever. I ain't talking about Squadron 42. I made one very plain-spoken, reasonable comment about Squadron 42 the last time we got together, and it got press articles. So I ain't saying nothing. I'm talking about Star Citizen. Star Citizen. Star Citizen.
Where we at?
I want to inject something.
Inject?
I want to inject something.
Okay, let's go.
Something we haven't talked about. It came from the chat. It came from the chat. Regional servers.
Yeah?
Regional servers. We have never had a conversation
about
in any way, shape, or form about regional servers. It was there in the chat and whatnot. I think I'm going to put you on the spot here.
What are they asking?
It just says regional servers when. Just what can we do to help the people who play in the various regions of the world have a better experience? Is that the answer? I guess what I'm asking is regional servers the answer, or is there or are we going towards something else different that I've literally never asked you about?
Well, I don't know in this case if they're asking for what I think they are, but let's talk about regions. Okay. So we already have regions, right? So when you play the game, you can pick one of the global availability regions that we service. So obviously the US, North America is one. The Europe is one. We have East Asia, Australia. I forget the other ones, but I think we have another one. So typically we look at user data, right? And if an area reaches critical mass, right, at some point, then it's worth it to deploy shards there. So, and have shards hosted in that region. So we do it like between US and EU. Obviously, they share our common backend. So your inventory system is hosted in one central area, but then the actual game servers you're playing on for latency reasons is going to be closer to your area. Right now, you know, we are revisiting our region kind of distribution for a couple of reasons. Like we've done some pretty large, without naming any details here, but we're in the process of doing some pretty large migrations, you know, in how we host the game. So there's, even if it's a bit transparent, there's a lot of changes happening there. And so we are revisiting our region map kind of at the moment. But typically the way that we've done this is we look at player data, and if we reach critical mass in an area, then it's worth it to start deploying some shards there. But it needs to be more than one, right? Because deploying one shard in one area is problematic because, you know, there are cases where a shard goes into trouble for some reason, and before a hotfix actually deploy, that shard is no longer usable. So we need to have, you know, it needs a critical mass to be able to go there. Yeah, exactly, a proper cluster size to be able to get there.
And the short version of that is you're currently undergoing conversations about where.
Yeah, we're looking at that because we've done some changes, so we have access to more regions than we used to. So we're looking at that, but I can't promise any changes. Again, it's completely based on player using the service.
So during the key bindings conversation, you know, every once in a while I'll check Teams just to see if I still have a job during the shows, which is another joke I get accused of making quite often and repeatedly, but it isn't a joke. I really do scroll and check. Jeffrey Prees, I added an R there. Bearded
CIG?
Didn't mean to add a...
What did Bearded CIG say?
He sent me a JIRA for key bindings. Exporting custom key binds to XML doesn't export all settings.
2013 or what?
But he's just sending me JIRAs now. I don't know what you think I'm going to do with this, Bearded, but thank you. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Bearded.
Thanks, Bearded. I haven't talked to Jeff in a while.
That's actually a guy we should talk about if we were going to reevaluate the regions. Maybe you get him on the show next.
You want to talk about Jeff? Let's talk about Jeff. He can't do anything about it. We know he's watching.
Yeah, that's right.
So what do you think he's hiding behind that beard?
I don't know.
We're in the final stretch. We're in the final stretch. We only have a handful of topics.
He does have a big beard. That's not a joke. He's not called Bearded for anything.
VR kind of came out of. I mean, it's one of those things we've been talking about it.
Sure.
We talk about it here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. We've talked about a lot of things over the years. I mean, we've talked about a lot of things.
I mean, we used to have VR in 2014. I say a bit air quotes. Air quotes. Please.
That's like saying I'm a baseball player because I've played. I played a couple of Little League games. Let's look out for that.
A long time ago.
A long time ago.
I think it was Oculus Dev Kit 1.
Yeah.
Is what was supported at the time.
Yes.
Anyway.
And I used it for 45 minutes and ended up in the fetal position for the next 3 hours. VR is not for me. I want to preface this by saying VR is not for me. But it's for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's for a lot of people. And at the end of last year, surprise, a not a fully blown or fully cooked, fully developed feature like we would normally refer to them. Some how do we refer to it? An experimental feature of VR.
Yeah.
Where did this come from? What's going on? And do it without saying the word Santa, Sylvan.
No, sure. Yeah. Well, so there are a lot of developers at CIG that really like immersive experience and work, right? And so there's a contingent of developers, you know, also one specific one that have been really trying to get the Star Engine to properly support VR. And so, you know, as an experiment and to build that, you know, these guys and, you know, Sylvan in specific has been really pushing hard to try to get, you know, Star Engine to work in VR, experimented with multiple different approaches, you know, over the the last couple of months, settled on the OpenXR approach, and was actually able, through his own passion and then support from his other colleagues, right, to get stuff
Man,
fixed
it's really
so that we can
quiet
support
tonight.
VR in specific cases. And so
Don't tell me I'm that boring, folks.
that's how we decided at some point, hey, you know what, like this is actually pretty cool, let's release it, right? Like we have a unique chance at CIG to be able to work on a custom engine and working on custom technology. And so encouraging that effort, we decided to release an experimental mode to see, hey, let's see if people like it. And I mean, the response has been pretty impressive overall. I think that the results that we're able to get in VR are a testament to some of the decisions over the years that were taken and how the game has been made. And so there's a lot of little things that just shine when you now put the VR headset on. That maybe if you're playing just on a PC, you're not going to appreciate as much. But and I'm going to go Chris Roberts here, but Chris always insisted on taking the difficult approaches to build certain features, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that you're really like, oh, we could have done simpler on this one. But we did the hard road and we actually delivered it. And so now when you put the VR headset on, well, you've got reverse IK in the seat, right? And it's the kind of thing that now all these decisions have paid off in this VR.
It's a pain in the ass in 2017.
Yeah.
When poor Evo was on it, and now so many years later, it's like, oh, yeah, that part was plug and play because of it.
Yeah, and I mean, even internally, the arrival of VR, even before the experimental mode was shipped, was tremendous. Like I spent a couple of hours here around our VR rigs next to my sim rigs with the ship team going like, oh, I want to see my ship in VR, let's go. And then, because designing for VR is a bit different, like sense of space changes and whatever. So that's really truly an experimental mode that we've been pushing. Obviously, there's a lot more people around Sylvain to help him out and get this there. But, I think that this is a testament to kind of the technical framework that we have at CIG that allows that kind of effort to not go unnoticed and kind of show up in the game.
Chat's currently arguing about whether VR is a low priority or high priority and stuff like this.
The priority at this point doesn't matter because it's an experimental mode.
Yep.
It's a bit like eye tracking. It's a bit like all of these side projects, right? Like head tracking, eye tracking.
It's not an initiative on the same scale as the inventory rework or as crafting.
Exactly.
It's not a full initiative. It has not taken a priority over something else.
Exactly.
I've only got a couple more questions for you, and they're kind of the big ones. And yes, people, it's about the thing that you want us to talk about. We're saving it for the end.
Oh no!
I've been doing this for a while. I want to take a few questions from the chat right now before we get to it because we're actually doing okay on time here.
All right.
Is the inventory rework, is it just UI, or will it actually apply any additional functionality to stacking and unstacking and stuff like that?
There's additional functionality, but obviously the big of the groundwork was the UI, usability. But if you look at the mock-ups, right, you also see equipment. So it's not just inventory, it's actually equipment plus assignment on your character. So the paper doll approach. There's also some other elements like proximity inventories that are part of that, which are pretty large functionality-wise, and I think will have an impact. So it's not just UI. There's a lot more client architecture also. The way the UI pulls the data, caches the data, and displays it.
More Twitch drops. There will be more Twitch drops this year. Aren't in that? Yes to medical. Why didn't Levski mold situation have us rescuing NPCs with medical ships? We'll talk about that in 2 weeks when we've got Elliot and Torsten on the show here. We'll talk about that whole event and stuff. So we'll save that question for them so they can speak about their own work. When Nix won this year?
Yeah.
That's something that got me in trouble. One thing I hope, and I got articles. CIG spokesperson says he hopes this will be whatever. I'm like, oh yeah. Let's see. There's one more. There was one more. I can't find it. There was one more question I want to sneak in before the questions that are already on here. All right. This section is called final hot seat stuff.
I just read final hot stuff.
You missed a word. Things that are happening in the game today. Economy exploits. Economy exploits. And if you're watching the show and you're wondering why I'm talking about economy exploits, it's because I'm going to get to the next question that you've got, the question you've had the whole time. So,
yeah,
let's talk about the economy exploits.
Sure.
What's happening?
There are exploits.
Be better.
Oh my God.
Well, so in terms of the economy in general, right? There's a couple. I think we're up to 7 or 8 right now. So first of all, we have a strike team on this at the moment, right? Looking at all these different things. There's a couple of ways in which there's been potentially duping. Ways to earn
Potentially?
rewards they're not supposed to
I
have.
think we're beyond potentially.
No. Well, yeah.
Okay, fair.
And
Potentially, the man
and
says.
so we're looking at all these
Okay,
exploit vectors
whatever.
to fix them. Obviously, that needs to be prioritized. The big conversation that was spawned from that is like, we're a game in development, but we're also delivering a live service, right? And so we don't have a framework for this. In that internally, we don't. When we get exploit reports, we don't necessarily automatically prioritize them. So the conversation that was spawned was like, okay, well, there are going to be exploits, right? Every game has a series of exploits for its entirety of its life, right? No game has no exploits. And so the question is more, how do you respond for it, right? And so historically, exploits have always taken a lower priority to ongoing development, right?
I'm going to jump in. You're 10 switching between past and present here. I want to be clear. You're talking about the past right now.
The past.
He's 10 switching a couple of times. It makes it sound like he's talking about today.
No.
It's like this. We're talking about the past, guys.
So in the past, right, exploits would fall. There'd be bugs like any other, right? Depending on the severity, sometimes they got escalated, but we didn't have a process for this. So now the conversation is about, when we do get an exploit report, how do we deal with it? Like, how do we escalate it? How do we respond to it? How do we deal with it, right? And so for the current ongoing exploits that we know about that have a damaging effect on the economy, currently we're dealing with them the same way we've dealt with the other hero strike teams. And so we're looking at each one of them and confirming the fixes, right? Because sometimes, you fix an exploit, there's a second vector right away. So those are complicated fixes sometimes. So we're dealing with these things right away. But the big thing that also this puts in light is that even a minor exploit at the moment has a very large effect on the economy, because there are many limits that are not in place. And so at the moment, we're also looking at overall economy design and limits around, selling, inventory capacity, exchange limits, ongoing active tracking of player trades and or large purchases, things like that. Now, we want to make clear that we want the economy to be fun and movable, but we also need some protectionism behind it. And so that's what we're looking at the moment. Now, I don't have all the solutions. I didn't write them out or show them out, but this is the spirit that we're in at the moment on these economy exploits.
You're being very diplomatic about something. I want to point out some of the struggle with talking about this.
Yeah.
We can't
tell you how we're going to fix it.
We can't tell you we can't tell people what we're doing.
Yes.
Because every single let's back this up a bit. So an exploit exists. Whatever timeline you want, we'll just make it simple. We'll make it real simple and do days for the point of conversation here. Exploit exists on day 0. On day 1, it comes to our attention. By day 2, we figured out what's causing it. We cause it. On day 3, we could fix it potentially, depending on the severity length. But we don't automatically do that, right? Because there's stuff to be learned by leaving it. In certain cases, we find more information out about who's doing it. We find where it's coming from, about other vectors. We found like any bug. okay, we found this cause, but sometimes there's 5 other causes for everybody. So you find this cause of an exploit, but maybe there's 4 other causes for that same exploit. And if we patch this one up right now, we may hide the other ones and we won't discover them for much, much later. It's like this. There's this incredible dance that I get to sit here and watch.
Sure.
You know, I get to sit here and watch you guys do. Occasionally, I speak up with a thing, and you're very kind to humor me here and there from time to time. But I get to watch you and the player experience team and your programmers and everybody involved do this amazing dance of finding these things and researching these things, and working out how they happen. And we can't. It's one of those things, we come here on a show and I want to talk about it. And we were talking about this last night, but we can't go through all the methodologies. No. We can't discuss all the solutions, because then knowledge is power. And if they know what we're doing, then they can run it. It's this incredible dance that is frustrating, and it can often look like we're sitting on our hands doing absolutely nothing.
That's right.
And that's an unfortunate, frustrating side effect of the proper way to do this.
Yeah, well, every time it touches security, anti-cheat, economy, exploits, it falls in that. Yeah. It's going to fall into that area where we can't be as transparent as we'd like to be. And
they're saying it in chat now, and they're not wrong. Like cheats and exploits have sunk so many games.
Yeah.
We have to get a hold on them. We have to get a handle on them. We have to fix them and whatnot. And again, but it's this dance. It can't always be right away.
Correct.
It can't. At least that's one of the things that Alpha affords us. We take the time to make sure that we do it right. Take the time to make sure we research. Take the time that we're actually finding all the bad actors and blah blah blah. It's just at the same time, it's annoying because you want to go to Reddit, you want to go to Spectrum, you want to go to Twitter or whatnot, and just scream, "We're on it, we're doing it," whatever. But you can't tip your hat anything. You can't. It's because every.
Well, I put my eyes emoji sometimes on stuff on Spectrum, just
you can't say we're actively chasing this one, because then the people who are using it scatter and we don't find them and stuff like this.
Exactly.
So it's one of the hardest aspects of game development communication, especially for a project like us that prides itself on being as open as we are. You know, people will be like, open development, I can't believe you're not telling us. That doesn't mean it's open. I'm like, open development means we're more open than any other company in the history of the medium. It doesn't mean we share every single thing, every single moment, the minute it comes out. Yeah. I do sometimes, and I get in trouble. But it's really difficult.
It's a difficult balancing act for sure.
It's terrible because there's been so many moments when I want to go out and scream, "We got this! We're on it! We're doing this! It's fixed!" But we just can't. You can't, because it makes it harder. It makes it harder to do.
Well, yeah, and you're gonna miss things. That's the main thing.
But.
Hey, can we flip seats for a second? Because you just grilled me for what? How long have we been going?
Sorry,
for now?
I'm gonna pause a minute. I see somebody in chat. I see a Gundam Dynamis fan, possibly. Am I wrong? In chat, Archangel Dynamis. If you don't mind talking to me, you a Gundam 00 fan? That is actually my favorite mobile suit of the entire series. That and Cherubim. Those are my 2 favorite units. By far. All right, I'm going to keep going.
Almost 2 hours?
Yeah, I have one question that I want to switch seats for. You ready for it?
You want to ask me a question?
I want to ask you a question. I want to grill you on one, at least one.
I can see you looking at your laptop like you've got notes. All right.
I have my note question right here.
What do you have for me, Manuel?
So, is the battle cruiser actually happening? Is that thing actually going?
Whiplash.
Fair enough.
Whiplash. What does that have to do with
Iron-blooded
anything?
orphans.
Yeah, it's Whiplash. Let's go.
Yeah. I have
me see
many.
if I'm getting that already.
I have
Actually,
a heartbreak with that ending. That made me want to rage fist the way that ended. Mikazuki
not
taken
actively-
out
I'm
by
not
that
actively
one
being-
chick. Come on. That just made me want to rage
Yes, the
fist and
Bowser
go
is
to a
coming.
gym afterward.
Um,
I'm sorry.
it's a tried and true manufacturer.
I get it's for
not one
plot,
of these new
but
hotness
come on,
manufacturers,
man.
One of the older manufacturers of verse.
I mean, we
And
might
it
have
sure-
different
and
opinions,
I
but
did say
I
this
wanted
last
to
time, so
literally
this
hit
is
a
not new
punching
information. The
bag
manufacturer thing is
a
new
lot.
information. But
I was really
our
rooting
big,
for him
giant
to
military
annihilate the
combat
entire
themed
enemy
event
squad.
that we do every year around May is probably a
And
pretty
sadly, I didn't
good
get my
time
wish.
to expect it. And it will be the and as we said before, it will be it is our intention to make it the last concept we do. We made it through 2025 without a concept. With a single concept promotion, we do not have a single
Yeah,
concept promotion
it
scheduled
took
for
an orbital
2026,
strike for them
other
to
than
kill
Star
him.
Cruiser. We don't
He
have a
was
single
already
concept
dead.
promotion
He was
scheduled for
just brilliant.
2027.
Yeah, exactly.
This will be the last one.
They
it's an
cheated.
old,
In other words,
Kickstarter
they
thing.
freaking
And
cheated.
So
They didn't play
It's happening.
fair.
it's happening. It's happening. We're going forward. I'm not
If,
gonna tell you
if
any
I
more
may
about
be
it now.
blunt, they didn't play fair.
Okay.
Certainly.
Is it big?
You got anything more? that it? You get your one out?
Is it big?
It's very big.
I'm just saying, Dine,
It's very-
Ark.
Very, very
They
big.
did not play fair with Mika.
That's all I got.
That's all I'm going to say. Okay.
I mean,
So,
that whole code thing they were talking about, that went out the window.
piece of shit. That's my one for the show. All right, then fine. Wipe. Wipe.
We were doing
I
good.
want an
Wipe.
alternate universe
I
where
held them
that
off.
happens.
I held them off. Wipe.
Right. So, okay. We're not planning a wipe. We're planning.
Good night, everybody.
We're planning. We're so we're looking at targeted actions, right? But we're not looking at a wipe for the moment. And so we want to keep on rolling. First of all, there's a lot.
Chino
of some of the
shouldn't have
work
missed his
we've discussed.
shot.
Obviously, I can't share the details of
Exactly.
what we're doing, but that needs to be completed.
Exactly.
So for now, we're not intending a full blanket wipe at all.
No, this goes back
Chino
to what we were
shouldn't
saying
have missed
before
his shot.
about
Yeah.
Vegas quality of life.
Exactly.
And all this work going in to long-term
That whole
persistence
thing.
and to
That
item
whole
recovery being one
thing.
stuff. It's about and the freight elevator.
My
it's about
brother
making sure you
and
keep
I
your stuff.
were just like,
making sure you keep
they
your stuff, making sure you
freaking
keep your stuff,
orbital
making sure you keep your
struck
stuff.
one
So,
dude just to get
we've
rid
got
of
tools,
him.
We've got logs.
You know
we've
what I
got-
A lot
mean?
of logs.
We got a lot of logs. We got a
lot.
lot
We're
of
just
information,
shaking
a lot
our
of
heads
information.
at the
it is
absurdity
our-
of
It is our intention to do a targeted correction.
My brother's now
to
deceased, but
those areas.
you know, we were just
it.
thinking,
Or that
and
bro, one orbital strike. I'm gonna pause this for a second. An orbital strike. Orga also shouldn't have called off Mika. We would have finished off the job. To be honest, yeah. At least ride. Yeah, no worries. He had a lot of extenuating health conditions. My brother did. My older brother did. I'm working on my health too. I'm down from 565 down to 500 pounds. And I'm also working on getting even lighter. So hopefully I'll be able to live a lot longer. My brother had much worse health. He had a clot in his lung here that pretty well tore up his breathing. That's why I'm trying to take a conservative effort to get way better shape than I am now. I'm going to finish this up and we'll talk Gundam for a little bit if you don't mind. I haven't had anybody actually want to talk Gundam for a while.
Preserve as much of the gotten gains of the everyday Star Citizen as possible.
Exactly.
So no blanket wipe.
That's right.
Okay.
Cool. So we've answered that. That's done. What else you got?
Just hit me with a Battlecruiser.
Yeah,
I
my
got a
poor
message.
brother,
Hold on.
he busted his ass
Where's
for
that?
a
I skipped
store too for
Was the Battlecruiser mentioned in SCL just now planned? Lol. Planned by somebody.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
All right. No comments. No comments about the size other than it's big. It's big. It's just big and it's cool and it is so damn cool. All
I'm
right.
gonna give
That's
you
it.
a follow,
Oh,
Archangel
no.
Dynamis.
Yeah.
One
Since
last
you
question.
seem cool to talk to.
Tell me something
There you go,
we
man.
don't know about. Tell me something.
Gave you
we
a
should
follow.
be excited about that we're not currently excited about. Give us something nobody's expecting.
Not a problem. I enjoy talking to fellow Gundam
hard.
fans.
You're putting me on the spot now.
I'm putting you on the spot, Mister. Is the Battlecruiser coming?
Not a problem.
Okay. Well,
Are you
one thing
almost
we
to
didn't talk about
affiliate, by
in
the way?
detail,
I hope you are. You
that I
should
can
be
give
pretty
background info
close.
on is,
It looks like.
Genesis
Okay.
and Nix One, right?
Okay.
Now let's
So-
talk privately about that. Yeah, I,
mean,
think you're getting
we're
close.
obviously
though.
working on this. That's no surprise to anyone. But the one thing that I'm excited about is that we've kind of conjoined development on 3 separate things in order to
Yeah,
ship the
I'm
best
going to
Nix
school,
experience that we could
too.
offer. right?
So,
And
my
obviously
streaming's
Genesis is
kind of
part
a
that,
hobby at
and
the
the
moment.
Planet Tech
Yeah.
that's behind it. But also the Starchitect work. And so for those who don't know, Starchitect is a way for us to be smarter about building planets and the human populations that are on them. So settlements, buildings, distro centers, LZs, name it, right? So historically, we've placed that by hand. And so Starchitect is a way for us to give designers control over the planetary scale of how these are distributed. And it's a fairly fundamental change to how the game is made. And the third one is what we call the population control / population manager. So currently you have AIs in the game, right, that are sometimes hand placed, sometimes dynamically spawned. We've talked about
Spawn like a crackhead
gazillion
just hitting the
times.
spawn button.
yeah, which is my biggest pet peeve, by the way.
Apologies
You wanna,
to
that's my trigger
crackheads.
point. If you want to trigger me in a meeting, just tell me there's another overspawn issue. But anyway, so population management and control is a third component of this. So I'm excited about this because as we're working towards Nix One, we're aligning all those 3 things into one strike team.
Oh,
to
you're
deliver
Redville.
that together. So
Oh, you're
I'm
Redville.
excited
Hey,
about that because
Red.
those are like
I didn't know
3
that was
major
you.
development keys
Sorry.
that Star Citizen needs to scale. That we're
Though I
bringing
should
together. So for
technically
top
use
control,
your
instead of having all these
streamer
hand
name.
placed,
Yeah, I didn't.
either
You didn't
hand
know I
placed or
streamed
dynamically
too.
spawned
That's
AIs,
awesome.
in key areas.
Yeah.
That's a system that will basically manage the server capacity.
Yeah,
of
I've been
AI
streaming for
agents
quite a
to be
while,
able to
about
distribute
3
them at the right
years.
place, but
Star
also
System, man.
Spawn the right.
I didn't know you
AIs
were a
for the
Gundam
right
fan too.
jobs, manage the
That's
priority
that
of
makes
respawn
me
requests,
happy.
all that stuff. And so it's such a much more scalable system that will allow us to really like build up a dense universe than we've had before. So I'm excited about the fact that those 3 projects are part of the same kind of drive at the moment. That's the first thing I would say that you guys don't know about that we're going to bring together. The second one, I mean, there are some hints of this in the game already. So if, I know some of
Okay,
the techies
cool.
look into the game client, try to find some
I got
stuff.
you a
I'm not gonna go
drink
into
and
more
some
details about this, but
snacks
you
too
know,
in the
we
living
talked
room.
about
I'll
sim rigs, we
distribute
talked
here in a
about,
minute.
you know, how the experience in the sim rig is. So VR is a great thing if you have a sim rig, right? Obviously, having the headset on is such a more dense experience. We're also working at improving our peripheral support, so being able to feed information, non-damaging information
Oops.
to peripheral manufacturers. So be able to enable them to make custom Star Citizen experience for the sim rigs. And also we're looking at we're currently in the process of looking at motion and motion platform support for the game, and so I think that's something we haven't
I'll
talked about
get it here in a
specifically,
minute.
but I'm mega excited about it because
Opening up the API.
opening up that. Opening
Yeah.
up basically the motion
deal with it
systems
here
to
in a
be able
minute,
to
Mom.
leverage that, on the key elements. So I think that's something that I'm super excited about because that's just another level.
There's that new Corsair keyboard that's got the Stream Deck built in.
Yeah,
Like that.
Gundam's been kind of a thing. I started with
those
Wing,
would be
but
my-
I've kind of migrated to
player-facing
Gundam
thing,
The Origin.
Ma-
I have the
something-
whole set,
something,
and I'm
something-
fixing to
I'm
buy
gonna-
the
I know
giant
about something.
super books,
I was treating
you
this like it's a
know,
big thing. It's not. We
so
just
I
did the
can
big
do
thing.
like a
But,
New Year's reading
Spawn it.
next year
Oh yeah.
or this year,
Well,
you know.
well, so-
you know, for Christmas, right?
We talked
Over
about
Christmas break,
Right, and so
I'm gonna do
to
like
build
a
Spawning
Christmas
Hangar, we have to
reading
build
of
a
the
new workflow,
Origin.
right, to be able to determine, can we spawn you there? Is there a requirement? for
I
you
think it'll
spawning
be
there,
pretty
right?
good for
So
my
the
channel
requirement in case
since
of
it's a
spawning hangar
Gundam-related
is your hangar
channel.
spawned, right? That's
So
also
we'll
extended to
see.
ships, right? But what we're trying to achieve, now I'm not promising this anywhere, but is spawn in place. And so we're trying to extend that workflow for spawn in place so that, you just log in the game and you spawn where you were. And so that's something that we're passionate about and we're trying to get in there. So
Yeah. Log in, log
in,
out,
bam on it.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Not a, you have a bed in a ship. You haven't. You don't have a bed in a ship. You just wherever you are, get out,
Correct.
get back in, come back right there.
Yeah. Surface of a planet.
I
spawn in
know.
place.
Half the
long
way
as you can still
I have a
spawn it.
prediction for half
There's
the
going to
way.
be rules.
Want to
and
hear it?
limitations, but we're looking into that.
I have a bit of a
That is
prediction.
also a big change for the game to me.
Yes.
That's a huge change.
Just
Cool. I'm happy you raised that up. I was going to forget about
It
it.
involves late Universal Century MS too.
all right. And at that, we managed. It's 4:57. We're right there at the.
Hey, right on time.
What do they say at the end of Hot Ones?
No,
Tell
I'm
everybody where
talking
they-
about
give everybody
mobile
socials, tell everybody where they
suits.
can find you.
Like something that could add that
Just
would
here in over
not
many months.
technically be in the manga, but still would be
We're here
considered
until the.
believable based on
Keep
the
that in mind.
rollout, you know?
That's right.
Benoit, thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you as always for
Do you
coming back.
know
We-
how
we do
in
these about
8th
every
MS
6
team
months.
there
It's
is a
what
GM early
we
type?
agreed when we did this
Kind of
first
a
one.
rendezvous.
Like,
Rendezvous,
what do they call it?
So we'll see it. We'll see
The
again
Jim
sometime
early
this summer.
type?
Yeah,
Probably.
sure. Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking
I
about,
just
right?
wanna say,
Like that,
it's. This is our
oh
first
God,
SCL
what
back.
was his
It's
name?
actually
Piloting.
our first SCL
The Gem early
since
type was later developed
I
not
did the
only
All
into
Ships
the
Q&A,
Gem,
and then
but also
we
the
didn't get to
Gem
do a whole
type
lot of
C.
SCLs last year because
I
of
think we're
whole
going to
bunch of other
see
changes
a
going mostly in my
RGM
life.
109
we're gonna have a lot
early
more SCLs,
type.
This year.
Like
We got a
pre-production
group of, like,
model
4 in a
heavy
row
gun.
coming in, like,
It's
April, I
UC
think.
105. The full
chance
rollout
to
of the
have
heavy gun
somebody
is
at
in
your
4
level,
years.
and your
It would
involvement,
make sense to have
take the time out
prototypes as
come,
early
be
as
here,
105
answer
running around.
quite
You know,
literally
for testing.
any question I put you. You didn't beg off of
I
anything. You
mean,
didn't,
come
you
on.
didn't do
The
stuff.
heavy gun
I spent the
is
part
already a
giving-
fairly
giving the tech
old-looking
teams their
mobile
props,
suit.
and the
Would
programmers
it
their
be
props, and the
too
strike
out of
team their props, and I wanna
question
be-
to
wanna
see
stand and
it?
give you your props. Thank you so much for
In
being
your
here.
opinion?
Far
I don't
more than
think
would give
so.
Jens, who won't.
Maybe
on the
not
show.
with
It's a
its
rendezvous now.
full
That's it.
weapons complement, but
No,
maybe
I
I
with
appreciate
some
that. I love
weapons
these
that
I
were
love
first
coming here
rollout.
and chatting about Star Citizen. And if you ever meet me in a Bar Citizen, it's the same thing. So
Me and a couple of other
Just do it live.
creators think it might happen too.
Thanks so much, guys. What
Like
is in the
a
orange box? So that
early
was at the beginning of the
production
show,
model
on the Twitch
heavy
version.
gun.
It won't be on the YouTube version. But that's just toys. It has nothing to do with work. We were just nerding out a little bit at the beginning.
I mean,
of the
for
show.
you, it's a huge
Thanks for
gap.
watching, everybody.
They would roll these
We're
guys
back
out,
next week with a behind
see
the
how they
ships,
did,
special
and then
on the,
perfect
on,
it
on
into
the
the
next
true heavy gun.
spacecraft making its way to the Star Citizen persistent universe.
is John Crew going to be there?
John Cruz in there, and Ben Curtis is in there, and Torsten Lyman is in there, and some other people, because I'm not really good with names, whatever. The second I started calling out names, I knew it was a mistake. Chris Danks is in there. So, who? Batu? Batu's in this one? Yeah. I filmed with Batu? Yeah. He's great. Wow, they really run
Yeah,
together.
makes
Sorry,
sense. If they want to
but
sell
that's
kits,
next week.
I mean,
An
it'd be a
exciting
quick
new,
cash grab. I can tell you that
Spaceship
for
Mon,
like a brand
making its
new
way to the
mobile
Precision Universe
suit.
next week in those little
Think about it. It'd
middle
be a
things. We
quick
talked about it in
master
ISE,
grade
the
they could
big
make.
patches in
Real
January
quick.
and March,
And it'd be a
and
small
May,
scale,
like this.
too.
And then these interesting little content drops in the middle. So we're going to add a new ship in the middle of a patch.
I think
for the first
it would
time
be
in
about the
history of our
same
project.
scale
We'll see how
as
that
the
goes.
F90.
Let's do it.
And
There's a
then,
press article.
It should work.
So thanks for watching.
oh my God,
I'm
no.
Jared.
Yeah.
That's Benoit. You're the amazing
Striker
Star Citizen
Freedom,
community.
yeah.
What are you doing with the cameras?
hey, even though I like the Strike or Freedom variants, we have way too many. Or Unicorn. Dear Lord, so many Unicorn Gundams. Make it stop. Come on. Right?
Oh my God.
Too many Unicorn Gundams. I mean,
love
we
you.
have the Banshee, the
everybody. Bye.
Banshee
Thanks, everyone.
Norn. Come on. It just makes me sad. All those resources. I mean, you're not wrong there. Oh my God, yes. Zaku Sniper. Zaku the one sniper, please. Yonem Kirk, Zaku one sniper, or a variation of it, please. Give me that beauty. Right? I still want that suit too. We don't even have a GM3. We don't even have a master grade Gym 3. What's... What was another one that they missed? You know what would be an easy master grade to produce? This guy. The FZ needs a real master grade. It demands one. Come on. The FZ demands a true master grade. You and I both know that suit got cheated royally. They cheated us a glorious master grade. Yeah. Yeah, it made me very sad when the FZ was announced as an RU100. It deserved a master grade by all rights. Okay, let's see. Where is he? Where is he? Right. I do too. I so badly want to. A lot of the harbor suits don't forget, a lot of those suits have never gotten master grades, high grades, or anything. We might have some hope of a Kshatriya master grade. It's finally getting a small one, but that doesn't mean it won't get a big one eventually. The master grade Kshatriya is coming, but it's going to be that little micro scale one first, you know? Which, yes, that does suck, but they're going to give us a real Kshatriya at some point, and it's going to be glorious. Yeah, I don't like buying third-party resins. Those are not usually, and those can be dubious sometimes, you know? I'm not saying all of them are, but some of them are just bad, you know? Not all of them are terrible quality, but some of them really are. Right? If you wouldn't mind, Red, would you give me a follow so that I can resin is just horrific to mess with. They are temp sensitive and warp easy. Yeah, in the heat. In the heat, they are terrible. Hey, thank you, friend. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm fixing to get off here, but we'll talk more in the org about Gundam and stuff privately when we get a chance. All right? I gotta eat, man. Thanks for hanging out tonight and talking Gundam. It was fun.